Section 1.2, homework problem number 7. So here we want to plot a number on the number line, but not in a rough spot. We need to find the exact tick mark for that decimal number. So the homework problem is 7.0028. So here I'm going to try to do 1.738. Now, when we look at the number 1.738, it has 3 decimal places. So we have the four place values. So we have a number in the ones place and tens place, hundreds place, and thousands place. So we're going to first start with the ones. And so we draw a number line and we put the 1 and the 2, and we actually probably should add another 1 here. So put a 1 here. Let me make it a little. So we will have, let's say 0 and 1 and a 2 and a 3. So the number 1.738, it's going to be to the right of 1 because we have a 1 in the place, but it's going to be less than 2. And so and then we know it's closer to 2. So it's going to be somewhere here. But because we know it's going to be in the range of 1 or 2, but we don't know where it is exactly. So we can only find a approximation, a rough spot right here. So 1.738. So we try to use the first digit, the ones, to determine the number is between which two whole numbers, 1 and 2. But now we're going to look at the next digit, which is the 10th place. And because my number line right now, the first number line that I drew, did not really have any tick marks for the tenths. And notice each tick mark represents a whole number 1, 2, 3, and so on. So if I want to be able to plot the tenths, the 7 tenths, I need to, okay, let's again, ones and the tenths. How do we generate the tenths? We have to take 1 and divide by 10. That would generate the tenths. Okay, so again, 1 divided by 10 will give us 1 tenths. And so that means we're going to take this section, which is 1, from 1 to 2, we know the length is 1, and divide by 10. That means you're going to divide that into 10 equal parts. Notice that I have zoomed in. So again, we don't have to look at whatever is here, whatever is there. So we just need to focus on this highlighted yellow part and then zoom in on that. And so I'm going to put this back because all right, so in the homework you don't have to black out those ones. Okay, so let's look at this little section, the yellow part. We zoom in. The left end was still gonna be 1. The right end still gonna be 2. The rest of the number line, ignore them. And so we're gonna take this little section. The reason we have to zoom in is because this is too small for us to divide it into 10 equal parts. I mean, probably it's not too bad, but it's better to zoom in on that. It's easier for us to see. So we take this little section and zoom in, make it longer, bigger, and divide it into 10 equal parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 equal parts. And remember, if we divide 1 into 10 equal parts, each of them is going to be 1/10 or 0.1. So each of these is going to be 0.1. So when you add 0.1 to 1, you get 1.1. And when you add another 0.1, you get 1.2. And another 0.1, you get 1.3, and so on. So you can label these tick marks as 0.1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and all the way to 1.9. When you add another 0.1, you're going to get a 2. All right, so go back to the number 1.7. So we found a 1.7, which is right here. But because we have 2 more decimal places, so that means it's going to be a little bit to the right of 1.7, but it's going to be smaller than 1.8. Okay, so we put a point somewhere, anywhere you want, but because it's probably closer to 1.7 because the next digit is 7.3. All right, but again, this point we put right here, it's just our guess. It's not the exact spot because in order to plot it, we don't have. So the next digit is 3, which means 3 hundredth, which we don't have any tick marks for hundredth. Right now, these tick marks are for the tenths. So we need to zoom in on this little interval. Again, the rest of it, ignore them. We just need this little section from 1.7 to 1.8. And we're going to make it longer, bigger, because again, if you try to cut it here into 10 equal parts, it's going to be tiny. So we make it bigger and then divide. So we have the tenths. How do we get hundredth? We're going to take tenths divided by 10. So if we take 1/10 divided by 10, it's going to give us 1/100. Okay, so we're going to do that. Take this little section, which is 1/10, cut it into 10 equal parts. So each of this is going to be 1/100th or 0.01. So 0.01. When we add 0.01 to 1.7, we get 1.71. We add another 0.01, we get a 1.72, and so on. So we have those tick marks for, we can label all these tick marks. So now we can plot, found the place for 1.73. So we have 1.73, which is right here. But because we have one more digit, which is the 8 there, so we need to move it closer a little bit. It's going to be between 1.73 and 1.74, but I'm going to move it a little closer to 1.74 because 8 is more than half, and more than half is right here. The middle is right here. All right, so now again, because we cannot find the exact location for 1.738 because 8 means 8 thousandths, and those tick marks can only represent the hundredths. So we need to again work on this little section, zooming again, make it bigger. So we zoomed in right here and right there. And then we have, again, this little section represents 100th. Now, how do we generate 1,000ths from hundredths? Again, we divide by 10. So we're going to take this little interval, divide by 10. So you can see I have 10 already divided into 10 equal parts. And then we're going to notice that when you divide 100th by 10, you're going to get a 1,000th, which is 0.001. So this little section is going to be 0.001. When we add 0.001 to 1.3, so if you line up the decimal place, you're going to get 1.731. So the first tick mark is going to be 1.731. If you add another of them, you're going to get maybe put it up there, 1.732. When you add another one, 1.733 and 1.734, 1.735, 1.736, 1.737, and this one we're getting 1.738, which is the exact place we are looking for. I mean, you can still label this one. I mean, you don't have to. Again, you don't have to label all of them if you just, because it's a lot of writing, and also may not be able to fit all those digits there. So if you can just count 731, 732, 73 all the way to 738, so which is the exact spot. And notice this number is exactly on the tick mark. It's not our guess like the previous number lines. And make sure for each, so we have to have 4 number lines, and for each of them you will have to have a point somewhere. And for the first 3, you're just guessing where they are, but for the last one, it's going to be on the tick mark.